Anachronism is the feeling of being born in the wrong period, or that you belong to another time period. While I don't feel this way personally, I can say being a virtual time tourist has its perks. I love movies, shows, and games that really invest in creating a period-authentic experience. LA Noire is one of those experiences. The meticulous attention to detail shown in this game is incredible. From driving down Sunset Strip, seeing unique businesses and advertisements reflect off the roof of your polished car, to the differing fabric textures and dress shirts and hat material, this game is an absolute study in immersion. And that extends to the people. Normally they're the most difficult part of any game to capture in a quote-unquote real way. LA Noire used proprietary tech to scan every actor's face and put them in the game. It is so well done and so well acted that it was the first time a video game was ever nominated at the Tribeca Film Festival. Sometimes things just click into place, and LA Noire, an all-time favorite and a classic, a virtual trip back into time, and my personal Platinum 100 just seemed to mesh nicely. So without further ado, hello YouTube, my name is Matt, and I play games. Today, we're going to get the Platinum and 100% for LA Noire Remastered. LA Noire was developed by Team Bondi and is published by Rockstar Games. PSN Profiles lists it as a 4 out of 10 for difficulty, requiring one playthrough, and will take 35 hours. And they were absolutely spot on with that. It took me 35 hours. Spoiler warning on a 13-year-old game. I am going to be discussing parts of the plot. So if you haven't already had this game spoiled for you, and you want to play this without knowing bits coming up, I will catch you on the next video, or after you experience this one for yourself. Having said that, the major spoilers and plot twists will be avoided, because I am hoping at least a few folks watch this and then decide to experience the game for themselves. LA Noire is set in 1947 Los Angeles, and primarily follows Detective Cole Phelps as he rises through the ranks of the LAPD. Along the way, he discovers a morphine distribution ring, which has tangled up quite a few of his former squad mates from a World War II campaign in Japan. And because this is a Rockstar game, of course this leads to his life and everyone else's around him falling apart along the way. As we progress up the ranks, Cole goes from patrol to traffic, and then to homicide, and finally vice, before a fall from grace lands him in arson. The gameplay loop is pretty simple. You are assigned a case, you work the case. Along the way you look out for clues, follow leads, and interview witnesses and suspects as you go. How well you do detective-ing, because that's a word, determines how smoothly this process goes. During the case, or in free roam mode, you can work street crimes, explore the city, find collectibles, or just be a tourist if you'd like to. A drive down Sunset at sunset, ending at Grauman's Chinese Theater, is a fun way to spend some time. My strategy was simple. I wanted to get the Platinum when I wrapped the last case in the story. To do that, this was my strategy. Complete a desk, ensuring 5-star rank in each case, while gathering any case-specific collectibles along the way. And then, when the desk was done, go into that desk in free play mode and complete all the street crimes that I was unable to do during the main story. I was also going to get the collectibles before the homicide desk, just so they were out of the way. If anyone knows anything about me, they know I'm not a big fan of collectibles. So my plan was really just one big step with 4 subsets, since there would be 4 desks along the way. When I get to arson, there's only 4 street crimes, so my hope is that I can grab all of those while working through the story missions, and then, at the end of one of the best stories in gaming, I would pop the Platinum. Ah, the 40s. A quiet, gentle time, free from issues that plague us now.
You f young boys, Valdez.
Are you a madman? This will cause an international incident.
Or not.
Jessica remembered a mermaid. The mermaid on the front of the prop store. You better come clean with me.
This is a sick town, Detective. Are you sure you really want to know? The truth is, my husband likes them young.
Wow.
And you think that's okay?
I was 16 when I first met him. I thought he was a genius, a magician with film. I was 20 before I realized he was just a B-movie hack. But he's nothing compared to some of the monsters at these big studios. My guess is Ballard sacrificed her little friend. Happens to a lot of girls.
Okay, I guess awful people have always been with us, and Hollywood doesn't change, no matter what they say. Anyway, let's clean this city up, shall we? We encounter Cole as a hard-nosed, cold patrolman, and honestly, other than his title, precious little changes about him. He's about as soft as marble, and with all the warmth of stone too. But, you know what? He's good at his job, which is displayed in his very first case as he successfully solves a major murder as a lowly patrol officer. Now, I knew going in that there were a couple trophies that would take virtually the entire game to earn, starting with the very first case. There's a trophy called Roscoe and Friends, and you earn it by killing a bad guy with every weapon in the game. This is technically missable, although you could always replay cases if you needed to, but that's a giant pain. I don't like to replay things if I don't absolutely have to. It's a huge character flaw of mine, I'm working on it, and it bites me in the backside often. On this first mission, I would start collecting my gun kills, and start working on another trophy by driving the car I start with. On mission 1, I got a kill with the 12-gauge shotgun, and then Colt's official police pistol. To get this one, you have to willingly drop the better weapon. Might as well go for headshots now that I'm using this inferior weapon. That will help with yet another cumulative trophy for killing a certain number of bad guys, that's what this game calls them, bad guys, with a headshot. And there's another trophy for killing 100 bad guys in any way, shape, or form. So that messy business of shooting and solving cases above our pay grade over with, Cole quickly clears the patrol desk and the first trophy of the game is earned for completing all the cases offered while on patrol. Starting at the traffic desk, Cole is promoted to detective.
I'm here to learn, Detective.
Oh, he's an intense one, isn't he, Mel?
Who's intense?
The newly minted detective here, Cole Phelps.
Hi, Phelps. I'll be keeping an eye on you. I could spend a little time basking in reflected glory. Make a change from busting hookers and dope fiends.
And a lot of trophies depend on doing an action while a detective or an investigator. So the flack that we get for the quick promotion is quickly forgotten. In very short order, a cop on every corner is unlocked for answering and completing our first street crime. Doing street crimes during a mission is tricky because any damage done to our cruiser, the city, innocent bystanders, and property damage accumulates and can decrease the amount of stars we get at the end of a mission, possibly forcing us to replay one or more. And since most missions are around an hour long, we wrap the first street crime and arrive at our first case as a detective and find our first clue, which unlocks one for the file. Remember, I said there were a couple of trophies we would start at the very beginning and could take us until the very end to get? Well, one of the hardest / most grindy trophies was going to be for finding and driving all 95 unique cars in the game. So I start hopping into everything I could find early on. And after leaving the first crime scene at the traffic desk, Auto Enthusiast was unlocked for starting the 5th car.
Let's go introduce ourselves. You talk to her, Phelps. I'm no good at this shoulder to cry on stuff.
Just a minute.
After arriving at the home of our victim's wife, Cole takes a look around for more of those sweet, sweet clues. Eventually, outside, he puts together the water heater and finds a piece is missing. We also get a trophy, The Plot Thickens, for solving an inspection puzzle, which is basically a clue attached to a minigame.
You're incredibly rude and insensitive.
Confronting the grieving spouse with cold, hard, logical evidence unlocks the straight dope.
What about Nicole?
And once we correctly branched every question in that interview, we unlock the third degree. After all, who needs to consider feelings when there's trophies to unlock for being a Wonder Kid detective? Wrapping up the case with 5-star rating earned us the up and up. And since we found every clue on the case, we also got Golden Boy. Everyone we encountered may be devastated, but we were handsomely rewarded. So, call it a win? Filling out our paperwork. Just kidding. This is a game. We don't do administrative stuff. We immediately go to our next case. At the crime scene, we find evidence we didn't know was evidence before it's needed. And there's a trophy for being ahead of the game like that.
Where is it now? Was it bagged? By Patrolman Kaplan. Perfect. I'll get you a definite match.
Jesus, we got him. Murder 1. We were right there and they tried to stare us down. Now they'll both get the gas chamber.
And another one for firing our gun into the air to get a fleeing suspect to stop.
Stop or I will shoot!
Who knew leaving fingerprints on evidence and terrible gun safety rewarded you like this? One of the things I really appreciate about the remaster of LA Noire is how seamlessly they integrate the DLC, which is basically just extra cases at select desks. Since this is my first time in over a decade playing, and the first time I've played the DLC, it was fun to just sit back and let the story move me along. I didn't have to worry about when on my heroic journey I should attempt the DLC, didn't have to stress about being over or under-leveled for it. The case hit my desk, I worked the case. 4 of the 5 DLCs have 5 trophies. 4 are for doing various things in that specific case, and then there's 1 for completing said case. For those curious, the 5th DLC is even more collectibles. The first DLC is called A Slip of the Tongue, and in a nutshell, a simple car theft case that hits your desk while in traffic ends up being tied to the biggest car theft ring in all of the city's history. There's a trophy for catching Cliff Harrison, a suspect in all of this, before backup arrives.
Some career advice, Gene. Get out of crime. Marry someone boring who has money and will find you captivating.
Is this guy for real?
He takes a little getting used to, but yeah, he generally means what he says.
Another, called Femme Imbecile, for branching every question while interrogating Gene Archer. Chop Shop is earned for dropping an engine block on a bad guy who's trying to kill you. And Racing for Pinks for finding the pink slips being crafted to shuttle these stolen cars around.
Watch him, Bukowski. He doesn't move until I've tossed this place.
Finally, wrapping the case earns the Printer's Devil.
Gordon Lightval, I'm charging you with conspiracy and fraud. Hands behind your back.
Now that Cole has leveled up sufficiently, and we have judiciously saved intuition points, we use them for the first and only time in the game, back to back to back to back, earning the hunch for using 4 in one interview session. By the way, side note, this lady, and folks like her, are awful people. Just truly awful people.
My guess is Ballard sacrificed her little friend. Happens to a lot of girls.
And I should probably say here that all the cases in the game are based off of real incidents and the time period this takes place. So, as you're seeing murder, mayhem, statutory stuff, illicit filming, the drugs, etc., this all really happened. And I remember reading in one of the video game magazines somewhere, when the game originally came out, because I am old enough that we got our gaming information through magazines every month. Anyway, when the game originally came out, they wanted to put in a case where a drunk guy lands his plane on Rodeo or something, but they figured no one would believe it was plausible and it would break immersion. But it really happened. While working this case to bust these awful child trafficking folks, Cole tails a suspect without getting spotted, earning the shadow. And once we arrive at another place of interest, we put in the hard work to farm a trophy, keep a lid on, for keeping a hat on during a brawl. Honestly, this was probably the second hardest, not the grandest or the most grindy, but the second hardest trophy in the game. It took me about a dozen tries to get it, and that was a lot of letting Cole get knocked out and trying again. Fortunately, there's a checkpoint moments before you have to kick in the door and start the fight. Sadly, I won't be that lucky for a later trophy that is the hardest one to get. As we went from one place of interest to the next, I unexpectedly popped lead foot for staying above 80 for 10 seconds or more. Honestly, I had no clue at what speed I was going or for how long, but it was a relief to grab this now because I really did think that I was going to have to set up something special later to get it.
You're taking the next right.
With the next bit of a scuffle that Cole gets into, he shoots his 30th bad guy in the head and earns wooden overcoats.
You have to get me out of here. Come on, it's this way.
Moments later, they promote him out of traffic, and wrapping that desk earns paved with good intentions. Since this is the 1940s, there's no trips to the psychologist to deal with the 30-plus folks we've put in the ground in such a short period of time. Statistically, most cops never draw their weapon in their entire career, and Cole is out here stacking bodies like firewood. But moving on, because the city won't clean itself up, during the case The Red Lipstick Murder, we earned the trophy Round Heels for getting Dick McCall to give up the license plate of Celine Henry's male companion. Thanks, Dick. During the next case, we are chasing a fleeing suspect, and my partner finally manages to connect around with their tire, stopping the chase and earning the trophy Traffic Stop. And this trophy is sort of RNG, but there's enough scripted cases with a partner that eventually this will happen naturally. And honestly, I was surprised it took this long for it to pop. Get it? Pop? Like the tire? The very next case, Cole chases down and tackles a fleeing suspect, earning the trophy Asphalt Jungle. And it was at this point I decided to take a break from the police work and grind towards collectibles. My thinking was this: I was genuinely enjoying the story, but collectibles just for the sake of collecting annoy me, and I wanted to end the game on the story, so the collectibles needed completed sooner rather than later. As a side note, where's the petition to have publishers stop putting collectibles in a game that don't serve a purpose? Because I will happily sign that.
Come on now, dawg. Come on, man.
So, I set off to get the golden film reels. I intentionally didn't try to do more than one collectible at a time, as I still needed to grind for driving 194.7 miles. Get it? Because we're in 1947? So, I opted not to get everything in one sweep to increase my miles driven. Ironically, being inefficient here would mean I was efficient in another area. Right after starting the collectible grind, we commandeer and start the 40th vehicle, unlocking Auto Collector. We're just a little under halfway there at this point. After about 3 hours of driving, hunting, YouTube video watching, thank you PowerPix, and grinding, the final film reel was collected and Hollywoodland was unlocked. Only a ton more collectibles to go. Next up was simply to drive to each of the landmark locations I hadn't already discovered as a natural part of the game, and with that we unlocked Star Map. Completing the landmarks and setting collectibles aside for the time being, we rejoin our day job and complete the homicide desk. And we reach max rank already, due to all the moonlighting we've been doing as a treasure hunter and geocacher.
I walked her home from Bobby's, but nothing happened. I walked back and got the car this morning.
Thanks for answering our questions, Mr. Terrell.
To celebrate being an amazing detective, I reload the mission and rack up $47,000 in damage to earn Public Menace. This one had me nervous. There's no way to know how much damage you'll cause until the end of the mission, and none of the missions are particularly short. So I made absolutely sure, and I ended up getting more than double what I needed. Sorry, LA, I didn't need to go quite that hard. To make amends, we immediately start our new role in Vice, and that very first case ends in a shootout. Because of course it does. And Cole kills his 100th bad guy for the trophy, Dead Men Are Heavier. Along the way to the next point in the investigation, Cole decides to answer a street crime that comes over the radio, completing the 20th and earning Johnny on the spot.
Car 11K. Shots fired, suspects are down. We're code 4 here, but I need an ambulance.
Roger on your ambulance.
We wrap that case, and it's back to the collectible grind. Technically, these are not needed for the platinum, as they're the final set of DLC trophies, but I want that 100%. So in short order, I collect all the hidden records and the 8 novels for You Found My Tune and Well-Read Individual, respectively.
Well, you don't see that every day.
Notice how I'm still working on driving 194.7 miles? It is then back to the DLC cases, starting with Reefer Madness, where we uncover a Mary Jane smuggling operation. The first place we go to ends up in a shootout, because of course, and we earn forcible rear entry. Don't Google that trophy without putting in LA Noire first, I beg you, for sneaking in the back door, not making this any better, and killing Juan Garcia Cruz.
Reinforcements are on the way. Cease and desist.
Investigating his place, Cole uncovers cans of soup filled with the devil's lettuce. And being a thorough detective, I open both cans, and that earns me the trophy, Soup in the Pot. From his place, we proceed to the 20th Century Market for High Flyer, and then we restart the case from the beginning, because earning that trophy locks us out of the 5 stars as it triggers a chase that causes us to miss a needed interview. Little bit of work later, and back where we left off, after clearing a soup factory out of bad guys, Cole completes a puzzle stamped on the silver coins we've been picking up for the trophy, Spare a Dime. Shortly thereafter, we complete the DLC for Reefer Madness.
Success. Don't push your luck. Sanders is no longer your problem.
And then we roll right into the Naked City DLC, where someone is stealing police evidence for profit. Now, I've watched a couple folks platinum LA Noire, and this next trophy seems to give about half of them trouble. Fortunately, I only needed to try it twice to successfully follow Candy Edwards without using incognito or cover. I know the trophy says you can use it at the beginning, but I didn't want to chance it, so I just ran into the motel instead. Following her in the least efficient and most dangerous way possible unlocked the Moose.
Bookmakers?
Yes.
Surprise, surprise.
Finding all the narcotics in Julia Randall's apartment pops a good-looking corpse.
I think our work is done here.
You should speak to her doctor. Prescribing both drugs would make her life a roller coaster.
And escorting Miss Swanson without vehicle damage right afterward gets us chauffeur services. Finally, the climax of the case. This is one of the most rare trophies in the game, Give my regards is for shooting down each letter from the tower of the Broadway Hotel. Honestly, my partner took out about half of them, so I'm not sure why so many folks missed this one. But whatever the case may be, we pop this one easily, and with that, the Naked City closes, and we earn 8 million stories for doing so. Now, up until this point, I have been intentionally not giving details on every case because how they unravel is one of the major reasons you want to play the game. But I do need to catch you up now on a little bit of the broad strokes that are revealed as you progress and through newspaper collectibles you find on various levels. Cole earned a Silver Star for his leadership in World War II. He never wants to talk about why, and for good reason, as you discover during the game. He was wounded, he went back home, started his career with the LAPD. His squad stayed and fought for a while after, and then when they finally got to go home, some of them hatched a plan to steal pallets of morphine and sell it for profit upon their return. Well, as you can imagine, this new, much stronger morphine hitting the market upset local dealers, and the man in charge of distribution started to feel it in his pocketbook. Not to mention junkies started dying because the new stuff was so much stronger. The guy in charge decides since he doesn't know exactly who all is involved, he's just going to kill the entire unit to stop his competition. By now, Cole is putting together that somehow a few of his squad, maybe even as few as one person, are into something bad, but the whole group is paying the price. One of the people targeted for a hit lives, and we convince him to talk, breaking a new avenue for the investigation open and earning the Fighting Sixth for getting the information out of Felix Alvarado.
Your name was in the sniper's notebook. Level with me, Felix.
Cohen thinks because we were on the boat, we have the morphine. Courtney's meeting those guys to sort it out.
Courtney Sheldon?
Yeah. You remember Sheldon, don't you, Cole?
We'll be in touch, Felix.
You heard that Jack is in L.A.?
I saw his name on the manifest.
Shortly thereafter, we wrap the last case on Vice, and drama happens. Big drama. And we are cast down in serious shame to arson. Taking a drive to clear our head, Cole crossed that milestone mileage amount, and miles on the clock pops for driving 194.7 virtual miles through virtual LA. Finally.
LAPD to see Leland Monroe.
Do you have an appointment?
With a police lady.
The actors who lent their voices and faces to this game are truly gifted in their craft, and none more so than John Noble, who played Leland Monroe, a land developer and an awful human being.
It's terrible, boys. How can I help?
Cole manages to one-up Leland during an investigation, earning the trophy Huckster.
Did you know that the mayor and the chief of police are part of the Suburban Redevelopment Fund? Do you want to accuse them of murder as well?
This particular case also allows us access to the last few vehicles needed to earn Auto Fanatic, so we avoid starting a fresh case to wrap yet another collectible. This was the trophy that I knew would be an issue from the start, so to say I was relieved when it was over would be an understatement. We start the next case, a DLC called Nicholson Electroplating, with a bang.
Christ, what was that?
Explosion. Something big.
You think it's the Reds?
Checking out Ground Zero, we earn the nose for finding the prop spinner amongst the wreckage.
I thought Forvix was a tough break.
Any idea what this is?
Very large egg cup? A Viking helmet? How would I...
Looks to me like some kind of machine.
Skeletons in the icebox is next after we find all the clues in Akamoto's apartment.
Microfilm. A document shrunk to the size of your thumbnail.
Rod must have amazing eyesight.
And then, yet another pursuit without being spotted nets Cole out of the frying pan. Then comes the sleeper trophy. I wasn't expecting to be difficult, but it was probably the hardest thing in the game. To get bulletproof windshield, you must kill the drivers of both MP vehicles in a gun battle before they get out of the car. And that wouldn't be hard to do in most games, but this isn't most games, and the combat and aiming isn't set up for that kind of quick gunplay. So after trying and failing a few times, which failing means redoing the entire apartment search and pursuit each time, sometime later, by sheer luck, I managed to blast my way into the trophy. It wasn't the worst thing in the world, but having to replay a chunk of the level so many times was certainly a chore. Cole wraps another case, and the big unfriendly pops for closing the book on Nicholson electroplating. This is also the second to last case in the game, and Seamus to the Stars popped, which I wasn't expecting since there was one more mission, but nevertheless, we got the trophy and completed all story cases with a 5-star rating. We start the next mission, the last level, and like the pro I am, I didn't realize I wasn't recording. Why would I need to record? It's only the last level after all. Anyway, picking up the first clue in the last level gets us over the line, and we have found 95% of all clues, and magpie pops. Deep in the sewers, there is exactly one flamethrower. That flamethrower is the last weapon needed for Roscoe and friends, a trophy Cole started working on in his literal first level. To pop it, all we have to do is get to the flamethrower and kill a single person by lighting them on fire with the flamethrower. That was easier said than done. There were 3 men guarding the room. Across from the spillway, there were 2 more folks. My first plan was to kill all 3 in the hallway, grab the flamethrower, wait across the spillway, and then toast someone. That didn't work. So next time I tried leaving one person in the hallway alive, getting to the flamethrower, and then turning them into a candle. That worked after a few attempts. Boom. Roscoe and friends. Remember, I said that I wanted to platinum the game upon beating this last level. Sadly, that didn't work out for me. There was one street crime on arson that I just couldn't get, no matter what, while I was working through the chapter. But, upon completing this investigation, experiencing the big finish, again, no spoilers here, and if you don't know what happens, go play the game now so it isn't ruined for you. We wrapped the arson desk, and the trophy moth to a flame pops for doing so. Loading into free roam, I need one specific street crime to 100% the game. On a previous desk, when I needed one street crime, I literally had to play through 10 to get to it. Fortunately, arson only has 4 street crimes, so I mentally prepare myself to replay all 4 of those crimes. But moments after loading in, I get the radio dispatch, I race to the crime, and it's the one that I need. Cole plays hide and seek with the perp, we win, he's booked, and the trophy for completing all the street crimes, long arm of the law pops, followed immediately by City of Angels for 100%ing the game, and then the Platinum Trophy, aptly named Platinum Trophy for completing everything else, my 100th trophy. What a game, what a journey, what a way to cap off 100 platinums. It's been less than 2 years since I got a PS5, my first console with trophy support, and I've managed to play some amazing games along the way. I can't wait to see what the next 100 holds, and what the next few years on YouTube holds for us all. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like. It will help me get out into the algorithm. If you're not subscribed, maybe do so. It would mean a lot to me. You know what else would mean a lot and help the algorithm? Clicking the video being displayed to the right now, but that's up to you. Until next time, YouTube, And for all those trophy hunting this amazing game, go you.